Shalom, family. About 2 hours ago, this story came through, and we're going to talk about this. So, the Oklahoma Supreme Court ruled and they dismissed the reparations case. So, if you've never seen the Oklahoma Supreme Court, this is the Oklahoma Supreme Court, and you see none of our faces are on there. But I mean, who are we kidding? Even if our people were sitting on this court, they wouldn't help our folks. They would just go along with the others because they are very careful to select Black people that are like minded with them. So this is horrific all the way around, but this just proves one thing, ladies and gentlemen. What it does prove is They have an unwritten rule in this country to give reparations to non Black people only. So, what's your excuse? You got two survivors here, both women over 100 years old. They were there, they saw what happened, they lived with what happened and could see it happening throughout their entire life. That's how traumatized they were. So, this country is so racist that even when you have survivors of one of the most deadly massacres on American land, they literally went in and bombed Black people. Why? Because they were more successful than they were. They bombed Black people out of pure jealousy. This was at the time of the Depression. Them folks were broke. These folks were wealthy. And because they pulled themselves up by the bootstraps, they were killed for that reason. This place is evil. It's evil. It's evil. And they showed their true colors. They denied two survivors of a massacre. Mhm. Wow. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay. So, this, it's like a tragedy all over again, is what we're looking at. And I'm glad it happened early enough for me to go live to let you know what's going on. But it just goes to show you this country is way too evil and way too hateful to do the right thing. You can't have people with these evil mindsets that are running things and trust that same person to do the right thing. These are the same ignorant fools that are running around here talking about it's going to be a reset and they're going to remain in charge. Ladies and gentlemen, that would mean the Most High has no justice in him at all if he let these people go on and continue to run things. They have to be brought down. They have to be. This happened for a reason. Now, I know, they can atone and repent and do the right thing. I know all of that, y'all. I know all of that. I want them to get the full brunt of that punishment. Am I wrong for feeling that way? No, I want them to get the 100% brunt of the judgment that's coming down on them. That's what I want for them. So, since they don't want anything good for me, I don't want nothing good for them. Period. Yeah, Dr. Sharon, I actually did a story on that. Yeah, that's Evanston. Yeah, I did a story on that a few days ago. Hmm. I mean, this is sick. These two could, I know they're over 100 years old, but that money could have been passed down to their generations. But they don't want to right their wrongs. These people are so evil, they don't want to right their wrongs, which means they are not remorseful for what happened to Black Wall Street. This is proof of it. They have no remorse about what happened to Black Wall Street. And, we know they're undercounting the amount of people that were killed. We know that. They always do that when it's us. Everything's an undercount when it comes down to our deaths. Everything's an undercount. So, I mean, my prayers to this family. I really do feel bad for these two survivors because it's almost like they got a slap in the face 102 years later in court. The courts decided to slap two elderly women in their face and tell them, yeah, we know what happened to you, but nah, we ain't gonna give you nothing. Bye. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But this was the outcome going all the way to the Supreme Court. And if you remember, it was a federal judge that threw their case out prior to this. It was a conservative judge that did that. And then it went up to the Supreme Court because they appealed the case. And the Supreme Court, as you've seen, the very lily white Supreme Court threw the case out. Okay, so you can see there's no black justices on the Oklahoma Supreme Court, and they dismissed the lawsuit. This is the last Tulsa Massacre survivors. They were seeking reparations. And Wednesday, they dismissed the lawsuit by the 1921 Tulsa, Oklahoma Race Massacre in hopes of advocates for racial justice in the city would make financial amends with them for the single worst act of violence against Black people in U.S. history. Yeah, they bombed a Black community out of jealousy that left, they said 300, but many people said it was way more than that. The once thriving district was smoldering in ruins, and you can see that in the background of the picture. So it was a 9-member Supreme Court that upheld the decision made by the district court judge in Tulsa last year. Remember, that judge, pretty much dismissed it. So they said they were going to fight on, and they did. Look, these two women did more than many survivors in their situation. So, I know they didn't get what they want, but look, these women over 100 years old, and they're still trying to fight for what's right. So this is what they came up with, y'all. The plaintiffs do not point to any physical injury to property in Greenwood, rendering it uninhabitable, that could be resolved by way of injunction or other civil remedy. The court wrote in its decision, "Today we hold the relief is not possible under any set of facts that could be established consistent with the plaintiff's allegation." Messages left Wednesday with the survivor's attorney, Demario Solomon Simmons, were not immediately returned, but that was the reason that the Oklahoma Supreme Court gave. So the city said in a statement that it respects the court's decision and affirms the significance of the work the city continues to do in North Tulsa and Greenwood communities, adding that it remains committed to working with residents and providing resources to support the community. These people are full of crap. These people are full of crap. The suit was an attempt to force the city of Tulsa and others to make recompense for the destruction of the once thriving Black district by a white mob. In 1921, on May 31st and June 1st, the white mob, including some people hastily deputized by authorities, looted and burnt the district, which was referred to as Black Wall Street. As many as 300, and we know that's an undercount, of Black Tulsans were killed. Thousands of survivors were forced for a time into internment camps. So they put them in concentration camps, y'all. That's what they did. Overseen by the National Guard. And it just goes to show you the government participated in that massacre. Burnt bricks and fragmented of a church basement. So they were kept in this location and overseen by the National Guard. So, so they took out 30 blocks in a Black district because they were thriving and they did not like it. You know, you got to look at it this way. They went from the slave field to being millionaires and they couldn't handle it. That's what these Black folks did. They went from the slave field to becoming millionaires. The two survivors of the attack, Leslie Benningfield Randall and Viola Fletcher, who are both over 100 years old, sued in 2020 with the hopes of seeing what their attorney called justice in their lifetime. The third plaintiff, and that was Viola Fletcher's brother, Hughes Van Ellis, died last year at the age of 102. The court also determined the plaintiff's allegation did not significantly support a claim for unjust enrichment, which it said are typically limited to a contractual relationship. These people are full of crap. These are two women who were children at the time, and they were there. And even when you are physically there, they're still sitting in your face, insulting your intelligence and telling you it's still not enough evidence. These people are full of crap and will do anything to get out of taking accountability for what was done to these two women and their community. So even when there are survivors, you don't take no accountability. Wow. Mm, mm, mm. Y'all, I know. I tell you what, this really hits for me. It really does. Because this right here demonstrates the level of hate this country has for us. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. There's no doubt. Bernadette Fox, thank you for becoming a new member. And Chocolate Knight 2, thank you for the super chat. They are adding to their judgment. Oh, yes, they are. Oh, yes, they are. I agree. Mm, mm, mm. So, y'all, I just wanted to bring you here briefly to give you this update. But I pray for these two survivors. They saw things that children should never see and been traumatized by it throughout their entire lives. I have read their bios. They were all traumatized and lived with the trauma all this time of what happened. You know, yeah, well, the long time ago, Miss Cat is fine is a BS argument. None of the natives living today were part of any massacre. Many of them did not live to see Andrew Jackson, okay? None of them did. And not to mention, very few Holocaust victims are alive. A lot of these people that are getting reparations, these are like grandkids and great grandkids and great great grandkids. They're not the actual people that went through the Holocaust. So when they say a long time ago, then that would diminish any reparations for those groups because many of them weren't around either. But that's what reparations is for. It is for those that are living. Of course, you can't give reparations to a dead person, just like all those other groups. They didn't give no reparations to their dead. They gave it to the generations that are alive today. And it would not be any different for us. And they know it. They know it when they're sitting in your face saying that. And it's straight up racism because they don't go and address those natives like that. They don't address the natives and say, well, you weren't in the Trail of Tears. You didn't get put in a mass grave. They don't talk like that to them. They don't talk to these Holocaust victims like that either, because these are really offspring of the Holocaust victims. So they don't go and tell them, well, you weren't in a concentration camp and you didn't suffer and all that. They don't do that. They only exclusively do that to us. They don't do this to any other group. These Japanese, these Asians that were put in internment camps, these are not the same ones that were around then. They're the offspring. So when they say to us, well, that was a long time ago, it's a bogus argument. It's a BS argument. And they know it too. They're just banking on the fact that you're so dumb, you're going to fall for what they're saying. Oh, most of the Trail of Tears were us. One mystery. We know these things. This is why they have gone above and beyond to write us out of history. They're writing us out because our forefathers were there. And they don't want that to be known. That's why they have spent this entire time trying to get rid of the history, bury history, strike the books out of school, ban this book, ban that book, because we're in all of, listen to me now, we're in all of the history. You hear me, y'all? We're in all of the history. All of it. Not just the parts you know. We're in the parts that you don't know. We're in all of the history. That's why they have gone above and beyond. I remember when I was growing up, it would be a biblical story on TV and no black people. How the hell is there a biblical story? We are the original people of the earth, but you don't see our faces in there at all. And, when you go back and reflect on Everything that you have seen in your lifetime, you got to understand they have gone above and beyond to bury us all together and make it look like we were never part of any history on this earth. But the reality is, we're part of all of it, plain and simple. These folks are walking around. Remember, these are the same folks walking around claiming history that's not even theirs, because their presence, they really haven't been on this earth that long to have the kind of history that they're claiming. They ain't been around but a split minute. They're Johnny come latelys. There's no way you come in on the earth last, but you got the biggest history. That doesn't even make any sense. That don't make no sense. Thank you, Lamont Williams, for the super sticker. Thank you. You know, we've been lied to for so long. And now I just can't bear to listen to the lies anymore. I can't. Over the years, I've just learned to tune them out. And anything that I hear from them, I take with a grain of salt. I just automatically assume I'm being lied to. That's how I see it now. If I'm getting info, I better go look up and make sure I'm getting the correct info, because chances are we're still getting lied to. So, y'all, that's all I got to say. Thank you for coming. I know this was like the last minute, but I'm glad I was able to do this. So please enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll come together tomorrow on a different topic. Shalom, family.